This is what we are. We are.
Hello. My name is Robert Walker. I run a small design firm called Irregular Company, or IRR.co for the internet. I also do systems design for a startup called Provenance, where we use blockchain to try and make supply chains more transparent for the good of everyone. I'm afraid I haven't memorized my script at all, so if you could put down the side lights and keep the stage on so I can read, I've got a film to show you. After the flood comes the fertile delta. As you may have gathered, there was a bubble in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, which burst in January. That is not to say it won't go up again, but Bitcoin lost 70% of its monetary value, and the people who lost money are normal people, not institutional investors or trading algorithms. While the bubble may have been animal spirits and techno-utopians, the pop created a flood of potential. To paraphrase Bruno Latour, like the shaman who allowed Indian perspectivism to be transported into Western thought in order to destroy it from the inside, through a sort of reverse cannibalism, the exploitative pumping and dumping on the millennial retail investor by traditional financial interests is in fact the most efficient distribution method for the seeding of decentralized futures. It is the delta, the difference, in price and expectation, in capability and possibility, that creates a space for new values. A space to create something new and sincere amidst postmodern market-driven cynicism. And to know it is both and neither, and still try, this is the metamodernist oscillation. We can see what this means for the future of work, but first, we can map the progress of cryptomania via two of its biggest memes, Lamborghinis and the moon. When Lambo, asked ironically, post-ironically, sincerely, and incessantly, when a tool of social transformation is measured in Lamborghinis, there is a problem. Although a brash form of conspicuous consumption, the fact that this is the measure of value increase at least shows someone thinks there's real potential, even if they want to exchange that potential for a noisy car. Sadly, those calling When Lambo are corralled and kettled in cash tags and Telegram groups. The methods of their manipulation are probably no different to the 1920s bucket shops or 1980s insider trading. So, on to when moon. Mooning is when a price rises rapidly and so high as to reach the moon, obviously. Although still avarice, we see traces of another worldview. The aspiration is no longer for a showy car, but for something more otherworldly. Is this just an easy metaphor, or are the boy racers starting to realize this could change more than their bank balance? The moon has always been mysterious. The dark side of the moon is exactly that which we do not know. To get to the moon is to border the unknown. And importantly, it is from the moon that we first saw ourselves as a whole. To know ourselves as a whole through understanding of the inner self is central to Aldous Huxley's perennial philosophy, which is a guiding collection of thought that he found to be common to all the world's major religions. In 1998, Chris Carolyn won the Charles H. Dow Award for his use of the lunar calendar to model autumn panics in stock markets. His spiral calendar trading strategy predicted the apex of cryptomania perfectly. Is this farcical apophenia, or fundamental force, or both, or a paradox? Christopher Carlson has a trading strategy he calls occult magnetism. He finds magnetic resonance between Fibonacci rings. It's the fabric of reality projected on a 2D plane, he claims. He also has a master's in physics. So, the left hand of God trading strategy takes this apophenia further, finding fundamental physics in the atom, the iris, the sun, the black hole, and financial asset prices. Simultaneously individual greed and cosmic perennial thought, the paradox oscillates. Now, the bubble may well have just been the law of the jungle, the powerful profiting from the simple dreams of the common man. The ebb and flow of prices are the same old fire and flux of Heraclitus. While the flood may be entropy, the agency of the bag holders can turn their magic internet beans into singularities. Blockchain enables an autopoietic mesh of value exchange, part catallaxy, part ecology. The dissipation of the ideas, the means, and the motivation needed a great catalyst. After the flood comes the fertile delta. So what does this mean for the future of work? Crypto isn't a get-rich-quick scheme, so it's not a route to doing no work, at least not in the short term. If robots take the blue-collar jobs and AI takes the white-collar jobs, the occupations of people will be something new. And crypto enables a multitude of value exchange. Humans have always engaged in deep play. That is the making of worldviews, religion being a prime example. So the future of work will be deep work, the remaking of values via global distributed consensus networks. Beauty is inherited, but not all beauties are the same to all beholders. The value of your contribution is dependent on it being valued by others. All possible proficiencies exist on a continuum relative to others, and so are inherently an emergent value from a consensus network. And proficiencies are an infinite dimensional space. All this means all people are relatively good or bad at many, many things. And creating a means of exchanging these away from the predations of capital is what blockchain promises. And this is here where the possibility of transvaluation occurs, where we can rewrite our mental and social ecologies away from capitalist realism, where you can create value and exchange it with others using a system which doesn't feed the IMF or Goldman Sachs or the World Economic Forum, and which has a carbon footprint smaller than this room, where you can rent and hire objects with such ease as to undo the consumer desire to own two of everything, all without creating another Silicon Valley billionaire or bankrupting taxi drivers. We have seen what the internet's possibilities for connection have done to sex and politics and identity. The proliferation of new polymorphous subjectivities has been brought about by the ability to connect people globally, with like-minded people. Yet neoliberalism stalks their means of connection, their modes of formation, and the scope of their agency. The next step is to detach these new values from old money and create many, many new monies, some of which are crap at being money, but that reflect the values of the people who use them, however weird and multitudinous they are. After the flood comes the fertile delta. That's it.
In randomness, we trust.